Did you know that over 70,000 people die every year from substance overdoses, and many of them once stood under bright lights, cheered on by millions? From crushing tours that never stopped to the silent suffering behind sold-out shows. Here are 20 worst heavy metal addicts who overdose themselves to death. 1. Steve Clark. Steve Clark was more than just a guitar player. He was the heartbeat of Def Leppard's sound, a man whose riffs carried stadiums full of fans into a frenzy. Born in Sheffield, England in 1960, he picked up a guitar as a boy and never let go. By 1978, he was already on the road to fame, joining a band that would become a symbol of the heavy metal wave sweeping through the UK. With albums like Pyromania and Hysteria, Steve's work reached millions. Songs like Photograph and Pour Some Sugar on Me were blasted in cars, bars, and radios everywhere. But while the crowd cheered louder each night, Steve was crumbling inside. The world saw a rock star. What they didn't see was the man slowly drowning in alcohol and pills. Behind every solo and every smile in public was someone trying to numb deep pain. It wasn't a single night of bad choices that eliminated him in 1991. It was years of small, silent cries that no one listened to. He was mixing alcohol with codeine, Valium, and morphine. This wasn't partying, it was slow self-destruction. His body finally gave out in his London home. Respiratory failure. Gone. Just like that. Not in flames, but in silence. And that silence is louder than any amp. He didn't die because he was reckless. He died because no one stopped to say, enough. Friends watched him struggle. Bandmates saw his health fading. But the machine had to keep moving. There was always another tour, another interview, another show. Nobody wanted to be the one to pull the plug. They let the music play while the man behind it faded. Steve Clark wasn't just another rock casualty. He was a warning. Kevin DuBrow. Kevin DuBrow had a voice that could tear through speakers. He was loud, fierce, and unforgettable. As the lead singer of Quiet Riot, he helped push heavy metal into the spotlight. Their 1983 album, Metal Health, didn't just succeed, it shattered records. It was the first heavy metal album to hit #1 on the Billboard 200. That kind of fame burns bright, and Kevin soaked in it. With songs like Come On Feel the Noise, he became the face of something new. But fame didn't fix the pain inside him. Behind that energy was a man who leaned harder and harder on substances to keep going. The white powder was his substance of choice. For some, it might be a party thing. For Kevin, it became part of his every day. He used it to keep going, to stay awake, to feel alive. But it also drained him bit by bit. In 2007, the party ended. Kevin was found dead in his home in Las Vegas. An overdose. Accidental, they said. But when you live like that for years, is it really an accident? The signs had been there for a long time. His behavior changed. His body weakened. People noticed. But the machine didn't stop. The truth hits hard. No one stepped in when it mattered most. His death could have been prevented. He didn't need more stage lights. He needed someone to tell him, stop. Fame covered up his pain like a mask, but that mask broke apart. People saw it happen and chose to look away. The industry saw dollar signs. The fans saw a rock god. The man inside, lost. DuBrow's voice made history, but his end was just another sad repeat in the music world. Another man used up and left behind. Another overdose no one saw coming, except they did. They always do. 3. Paul Gray. Paul Gray wasn't just another bass player. He was the beating pulse of Slipknot, a band known for its explosive sound and eerie masks. From the start, Paul helped shape their wild energy into something unforgettable. Fans wore masks like his. They screamed lyrics he helped write. They worshiped the chaos he helped build. But behind the loud music and flashing lights, Paul was barely hanging on. Born in 1972, Paul had battled addiction for years. He used morphine and fentanyl, deadly substances even in small amounts. People around him knew he was struggling. His bandmates talked about his substance use. There were attempts to get him help, but it wasn't enough. In 2010, Paul died alone in a hotel room in Iowa. Morphine, fentanyl, the kind of substances that stop your breathing fast. Paul didn't want to die. He wanted relief. He wanted a break from the pressure, the noise, the weight of being everything fans expected. And that's the part no one talks about. These stars carry more than guitars and microphones. They carry every fan's dream, every manager's plan, every dollar riding on a tour. And when they stumble, no one wants to catch them. They want them to keep going, no matter the cost. Gray's death was heartbreaking, but not shocking. That's the worst part. It didn't stun the world. It didn't feel new. It felt expected, like people were just waiting for the day. He had tried to get better. He wanted out, but fentanyl waits for no one. It grabs tight and doesn't let go. 4. Dave Brockie. Dave Brockie lived like his shows, wild, loud, unforgettable. As the frontman of Gwar, he performed dressed as an alien overlord named Oderus Urungus. He was covered in armor and fake blood, yelling into the mic with rage and humor. Fans thought it was all a show, but behind that mask, Dave was fighting something very real. He used the most powerful substance of all, quietly, often. It started slow, like it always does. Then it became part of his routine. He performed, he smiled, he joked, and then he used. It doesn't make noise. It creeps in, takes hold, and doesn't let go. In 2014, Dave was found dead in his home in Virginia. The cause? An overdose. Just like that, the voice behind the chaos was gone. Fans were shocked, but they shouldn't have been. The signs were there. His friends said they worried. His bandmates saw him slipping. But the character he played was so over the top, no one knew where the act ended and the real man began. That confusion became his trap. People laughed at his jokes but didn't see his pain. They cheered his wild acts but missed the cry for help. In the end, the man died while everyone was still clapping. That's not tragic. That's terrifying. 5. Riley Gale. Riley Gale had something new to say. As the frontman of Power Trip, he wasn't just loud. He was powerful. He sang with anger, with truth, with purpose. His band didn't just play thrash metal. They made it political. They made it matter. Fans connected with Riley because he felt real. But even the realest voices can fall silent. In 2020, Riley died at age 34. Fentanyl, another name on the growing list. But his loss hit different. He was young. He was just getting started. His lyrics spoke of change, but his life was taken by the same enemy that took so many before him. He didn't want to be another sad story. He wanted to be heard. And now he's gone. People didn't expect Riley to go out like that, but fentanyl doesn't care. It doesn't care how famous you are or what message you're trying to spread. It just ruins you. Fast. Often. Quietly. He may have thought he could handle it. He may have been tricked by a fake pill. It only takes one. 6. Robin Crosby. Robin Crosby was once a star who had it all. He played the guitar with fire and skill, and people loved to watch him on stage. He was a big part of the band Rat, one of the loudest and flashiest bands of the 1980s. Their music was everywhere, and Crosby was at the center of it. He helped write hit songs like Round and Round, and fans screamed his name. But while he was smiling on stage, he was hiding a dark problem. Substances started to take over his life. It started small, like it always does. Just a little to help him relax, to help him sleep. But it didn't stop there. As the crowds got bigger, his addiction got stronger. The high from substances became more important than the high from music. He missed shows, lost touch with friends, and even his guitar didn't make him happy anymore. Crosby was fading. People could see it, but what could they do? The music world often turns a blind eye until it's too late. Even when he was sick, people still asked for autographs. They didn't see the man behind the fame. They didn't see the pain. By the time he reached his 40s, Robin was a shadow of the man he used to be. He spoke out about his sickness, even warning others. But his words came too late to save himself. On June 6, 2002, Robin Crosby died from an overdose. His body gave up after years of struggle. It wasn't sudden. It was a slow fall that lasted many years. His death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. But did anyone really wake up? The music world lost a strong talent, but more importantly, it lost a man who tried to fight and lost. His story is not just about substances. It's about what happens when no one steps in. It's about the dark side of fame that no one talks about. 7. Layne Staley. Layne Staley's voice could shake a room. He sang with pain, with truth, and with a kind of sadness that felt too real. As the lead singer of Alice in Chains, he helped build the sound of grunge and heavy metal mixed together. His songs were full of heartbreak, fear, and deep hurt. People listened and felt every word. But what many didn't know was that he wasn't just singing. He was living that pain every single day. Layne was trapped in a world of excess, and the substances were pulling him deeper and deeper. He tried to keep going. He tried to make music, but substances don't let go that easy. They take your strength, your joy, and then they take your life. Layne started to disappear. He stopped touring. He stopped giving interviews. He stayed inside more and more. His body got thinner, his voice got quieter, and soon he wasn't the same man. Fans hoped he would come back. Friends begged him to get help. But addiction is a powerful thing. It tells you that you can't live without it. And Layne believed that lie. By 2002, Layne was almost forgotten. His name was still famous, but his face was missing. He hadn't been seen for weeks. And then, on April 5th, his body was found in his Seattle apartment. He had been dead for days. The substances had won. He had taken a mix of two very powerful illegal substances, a deadly combo called a speedball. His death shocked many, but it didn't surprise those who really knew him. They had seen it coming. They had watched him disappear one day at a time. Layne Staley's story is not just sad, it's a warning. He had a gift, a voice like no other, and it was lost. Lost because no one could stop what was happening. Or maybe no one tried hard enough. How many fans loved his songs but missed the pain in his words? How many chances were there to save him? His life reminds us that addiction doesn't care about fame. It doesn't care about music. It only cares about control. And once it has you, it rarely lets go. 8. The Reverend James Owen Sullivan, known as the Rev, was a fire behind the drums. He was loud, fast, and full of life. As a member of Avenged Sevenfold, he helped shape a new kind of heavy metal. He didn't just play drums, he owned them. His hands moved like lightning, and his beats made crowds go wild. But behind the fun and fire, he had a secret. Pills and alcohol were following him everywhere. At first, he thought he could control them. He was young, famous, and full of dreams. But dreams can turn into nightmares when substances are involved. The Rev was more than just a drummer. He wrote songs, sang backup, and added something special to every track. His band loved him. His fans praised him. But all of that didn't stop the pressure. Fame is not as easy as it looks. The long tours, the sleepless nights, the pressure to always perform, it all builds up. The Rev tried to keep up, but he started to rely more and more on pills just to stay awake, to stay calm, to stay sane. And those pills mixed with alcohol were a deadly game. People close to him were worried. They saw the signs. But sometimes, even love can't stop what's coming. On December 28, 2009, the Rev was found dead in his home. He was only 28 years old. A mix of painkillers, anxiety meds, and booze took his life. The world cried. The band was broken. And once again, another young talent was lost. Too soon. Why didn't someone step in harder? Why do we keep losing bright stars like him? 9. Mike Starr. Mike Starr was the quiet power behind Alice in Chains. His bass lines were deep, dark, and steady. He helped build a sound that was raw and real. But as the band got big, Mike started to fade. Substances were always around. Some musicians say they help with the pain. Others say they help with the pressure. But for Mike, they just took everything away. In 1993, Mike left the band. At first, people said it was for personal reasons, but later, the truth came out. Substances were pulling him down. He tried to hide it. He tried to fight it. But addiction is strong. It grabs hold and doesn't let go. Mike tried rehab. He even went on a TV show to get help. Millions watched him cry, confess, and try again. But still, he couldn't win the fight. He was haunted by guilt, especially after Lane Staley's death. Mike had seen his friend fade, and it crushed him. He spoke about it often, filled with sadness. On March 8, 2011, Mike Starr was found dead in Utah. A prescription substance overdose ended his life. He was just 44. He had been trying so hard, but trying wasn't enough. 10. Shifty Shell Shock. Seth Binzer, better known as Shifty Shell Shock, had a sound that mixed rap and rock in a way few others could. His band, Crazy Town, shot to fame with the hit Butterfly. People danced to it, sang along, and made it a top hit around the world. But behind the song, Shifty was battling something big. Substances followed him everywhere. Fame didn't help. In fact, it made everything worse. He tried many times to get clean. He went to rehab more than once. He opened up about his addiction. In front of cameras, he asked for help. But still, he went back to the same habits. The substances were too strong. The pull was too deep. People cheered for his music but missed the signs. He was losing his fight, one day at a time. On June 24, 2024, Shifty was found dead in his home. Another overdose. Another lost voice. He was only 49. His story is like too many others, a star that rose fast and fell even faster. No one wants to believe it will happen again, but it always does. Shifty Shell Shock left behind fans, family, and a broken past. His music still plays, but the man behind the songs is gone. We remember him for the joy he brought with his music, but we also must remember what eliminated him. Addiction doesn't care about your fame. It doesn't stop when the music stops. 11. Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill was not just a music man. He was the one who dreamed up something wild and new. He gave us Trans-Siberian Orchestra, a band that didn't just play music, but told big, loud stories with fire, snow, and lights. People loved it. They packed theaters to watch the shows, especially at Christmas. But while the crowds cheered and the music played, Paul was living a quiet fight behind the scenes. That fight? Substances he said he needed to keep going. At first, it looked like he had everything under control. He talked about his dreams, made music that mixed rock and classical, and made the world listen. But every bright light casts a shadow. On April 5, 2017, that shadow became real when Paul was found dead in a hotel room in Tampa, Florida. People were shocked. He was supposed to be working on new music. Instead, the news hit: an overdose. The report from the doctors said it was a mix of substances: methadone, codeine, diazepam, and doxylamine. These aren't party substances, they're pain pills, sleep aids, and anxiety meds. But taken together, they turn deadly. Paul didn't mean to die. But that's the thing with addiction. It sneaks up. It tricks even the smartest minds. One pill becomes two becomes 10. And suddenly, the one who lit up the stage is gone forever. Why didn't anyone stop it? That question still haunts fans. Maybe he hit it too well. Maybe no one thought the man who gave the world holiday medal would be the one slowly slipping away. But behind every big smile and spotlight, there might be something darker going on. Paul's story proves that even the most successful people can lose their way. 12. Bon Scott. Bon Scott had a voice that shook walls and a style that screamed danger. He was the sound behind AC/DC when they rose from loud bars to world stages. His voice was wild, raspy, and full of fight. It was perfect for rock and roll. Fans loved him for being raw and real. But real doesn't always mean safe. Behind his wild charm was a man always chasing the next thrill and the next drink. Born in Scotland, Bon found his way to Australia and then to fame. With AC/DC, he gave the world hits like Highway to Hell and Let There Be Rock. He climbed the stage like he owned it. He didn't just sing songs, he lived them, fast, loud, and out of control. But the same wildness that made fans scream was the same force pulling him down. People saw the signs. He drank too much. He partied harder than anyone else. And he never stopped. In February 1980, after a long night of drinking, Bon passed out in a car. He never woke up. The official cause? Alcohol poisoning. His body just couldn't take it anymore. He drank so much that his own breath couldn't keep him alive. It was a silent end for a man who lived like an explosion. No crowds, no music, just stillness. What made it worse was that it didn't have to happen. People around him knew he was spiraling, but rock culture was different then. Heavy drinking was seen as cool. It was part of the act. No one stopped to think about what came after the party. By the time they did, Bon was gone. 13. Jonas Bjerkqvist. 14. Paul Di'Anno. Paul Di'Anno had a voice made for metal, raw, rough, full of fire. When he joined Iron Maiden in 1978, it was the beginning of something huge. He sang on their first two albums, and songs like Running Free and Wrathchild turned into anthems. He wasn't polished, he wasn't fancy, but that's what made fans love him. He felt real, gritty, tough. But behind that tough sound was a man who slowly started falling apart. As the band grew, Paul started changing. Fame hit fast, and with it came the usual traps: substances, drinking, and chaos. He didn't hold back, and soon he couldn't keep up. The band moved on without him. Paul moved on too, trying other bands, other sounds. But he never found the same success. What he did find was trouble. Trouble with the law, trouble with substances, trouble with his own body. Years passed. His voice faded. His health got worse. Fans saw a different man now, sick, angry, and tired. And then in October 2024, Paul died. He was 66. No clear reason was given, but everyone guessed. His body had been through too much. His past had caught up with him. 15. Scott Weiland. Scott Weiland looked like a star. He had the look, the voice, the fame. With Stone Temple Pilots, he made songs that stuck in your head for days. Plush, Creep, Interstate Love Song. He ruled the 90s rock scene. Then he did it again with Velvet Revolver. His voice was smooth but powerful, full of feeling. But behind every song, there was a fight going on, and he was losing. From early on, Scott battled substances. He tried to stop. He checked into rehab more than once, but the problems kept coming back. Fame didn't save him. Friends couldn't fix it. The spotlight made things worse. He looked fine on stage, but off stage, things were falling apart. Fans hoped he'd beat it. He said he would, but addiction doesn't care about promises. On December 3, 2015, Scott didn't show up for sound check. Hours later, they found him on his tour bus. Gone. Dead from a mix of alcohol and other substances. He was only 48. His family cried. Fans posted messages. But deep down, everyone feared it would happen. It was like watching someone run toward a cliff and hoping they would stop. 16. Hillel Slovak. Hillel Slovak was not just a musician. He was a wildfire trapped in the human body. Born in Israel in 1962 and later moved to Los Angeles, Hillel's life seemed full of promise. He picked up a guitar young and never put it down. When he helped start the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the sound they created was different, loud, fast, funky. People paid attention. Hillel made music that felt alive, but behind the stage lights and loud music, something dark was growing. He started using substances early. At first, it was part of the scene. Everyone seemed to be doing it. But then it became more. They crept into his life like a silent thief. It took his health. It stole his joy. People around him saw the change. They noticed how tired he looked, how he acted strange, how he missed things, but they didn't stop him. Or maybe they didn't know how. By 1988, Hillel was in deep. He was only 26 when he was found dead from an overdose. His body gave up. The substances had won. His friends were crushed. The band didn't just lose a guitarist. They lost a brother. Fans cried, but many weren't surprised. It was like watching a storm build and then crash. 17. Gary Thane. Gary Thane was born in 1948 in New Zealand. He wasn't a loud person, but when he played bass, people listened. His sound was smooth and deep, fitting right into the rising rock scene. He joined Uriah Heep in the early 1970s, and the band started to soar. With albums like Demons and Wizards and Sweet Freedom, Gary helped build something powerful. His playing was the kind that made songs stick in your head. But as the music rose, so did the pressure. And with pressure came the substances. Gary didn't talk much about what he was going through. Most didn't. Back then, substances were everywhere. People acted like it was normal. But for Gary, things started to get worse. His health went downhill fast. On stage, he looked pale. Off stage, he kept to himself more. People noticed, but once again, no one really stepped in. Maybe they didn't know how, or maybe they didn't want to lose the music. By 1975, things were too far gone. Gary was just 27 when the substances finally took him. One more talent lost. One more story of what could have been. His death didn't make front-page news, but it hit hard in the rock world. A band lost its sound. Friends lost someone they loved. And fans? They were left with records and regret. 18. Phil Lynott. Phil Lynott was more than a rock star. He was a voice, a face, a presence that filled the room. Born in England in 1949, he later made Ireland proud as the leader of Thin Lizzy. He wrote songs that mixed strength with feeling. "The Boys Are Back in Town" became an anthem. His lyrics hit hard, and his voice made them unforgettable. But behind all that fame, Phil was crumbling. Substances didn't hit him fast. They crept in, slow and quiet. At first, it was just part of the life. Parties, late nights. Then it turned darker. His body got weaker. He looked tired. His smile faded. People saw it, but looked the other way. After all, he was still making music, still filling shows. Wasn't that enough? But it wasn't. Phil's body couldn't take the damage anymore. In January 1986, he was rushed to the hospital. The overdose had already done its work. His organs were shutting down. Doctors tried. His family hoped. But Phil died at just 36. He didn't pass peacefully. He fought, but the years of substances and alcohol won. His fans mourned. His bandmates mourned. But too many missed the truth. Phil Lynott didn't just die. He was lost slowly over time while everyone watched. His songs live on, but they're wrapped in sadness now. He should have had more time, more music, but addiction took that away. 19. Tommy Bolin. Tommy Bolin was fire and sound wrapped into one. Born in 1951 in Iowa, he had a gift for guitar that few could match. He didn't just play, he made his guitar speak. His work with Zephyr, James Gang, and Deep Purple showed how big his talent was. His solo albums were bold, mixing rock with jazz and funk. He wasn't afraid to try new things. He should have been a legend. But substances were always nearby. They followed him like a shadow. Fans saw his talent, but behind the scenes, people saw the warning signs. He was tired, sometimes sloppy. He missed rehearsals. His fingers still worked wonders, but his body was giving up. Still, the shows went on. The crowds cheered. No one pulled the brakes. In 1976, after a show in Miami, Tommy was found dead, just 25. Another light gone too soon. The music world cried, but again, many weren't surprised. The signs had been there, the warnings were clear, but they were drowned out by the sound of applause and guitars. 20. Brent Mydland. Brent Mydland was quiet, but his music spoke volumes. Born in 1952 in Germany, he joined the Grateful Dead in 1979. His voice and keyboard gave the band new life. Songs like Blow Away showed his talent. Fans loved him. The band needed him, but he carried a heavy weight. Substances weren't new to the Grateful Dead scene. Many saw them as part of the lifestyle. Brent tried to fit in. He also tried to hide his pain, but it got harder. He started looking tired. His voice cracked. His smile faded. Some say he asked for help. Others say no one listened. Maybe both are true. In July 1990, Brent was found dead at home. A speedball, a mix of two very powerful illegal substances, took him. He was 37. People cried. Tributes poured in. But again, the question hung in the air. Why didn't anyone stop it? Brent gave the band energy. He gave fans joy. But behind that was a man breaking down, and no one pressed pause. His death was the end of something special. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. It didn't.